Welcome back to Generational Curse Breakers Wednesday. I'm your host, Juel Claxton, and yes, I am still getting used to saying the new title, guys. It rolls off the tongue a little differently, but the mission remains exactly the same. Exposing the patterns, breaking the chains, and tracking the institutional accountability, or total lack thereof, that shake our world. So, did you guys catch last week's episode? If you missed it, look, it's not too late. Curse Breakers, go back, download it, check it out. We named names, decoded the matrix, and it was a good one at that, if I do say so myself. The conversation was powerful, thought-provoking, and exactly the kind of discussion we need if we're serious about breaking cycles and exposing systems that keep people trapped. But today, we have a packed docket. We are looking at what happens when the system pushes people to the absolute brink, how predators operate behind legal badges, and the massive international cyber takedown. We're diving into several stories making headlines and asking some uncomfortable questions, guys, because around here, we don't just read the news. We investigate it. We question it. And occasionally, we stare at it.
Stare at it?
Like it just told us it spent taxpayer money on a gold-plated paperclip. So buckle up and let's dive right into it. We're going to start with targeted news. And I refer to this as systemic snapping and cold cases. Let's start with the Gwendolyn White case, which is first up on the headline. I want to talk about this story I've been personally tracking for over a year. Takes place in Wakefield County, North Carolina. You might have seen the breaking news about Gwendolyn White, the 57-year-old former attorney who allegedly shot two lawyers outside the Wake County Courthouse on May 22nd. Now, the mainstream media wants to give you the standard sterile narrative. Her former defense attorney, Seth Blum, went on the news calling for more quote-unquote mental health resources, talking about how she called the police 37 times and had a fixed belief that her neighbors were poisoning her through, you got it, her air conditioning vent. Yeah. Trust me, I get it. But let's look at the pattern analysis because we need to break things down for those who are new to the show that just believe what they're told. We're investigators here, and we break things down through pattern analysis. My GC, time to lock in with those thinking caps. This all started when she bought a home, right, in Rossville, North Carolina, for her and her elderly mother. Fact, she began experiencing targeting, relentless harassment, racist neighbors, corrupt local cops, and indifferent government officials.
And then I will call and say, hey, this nurse is at my house. They said, no, Miss White, you canceled. I said, no, there's a lady in the room with my mother right now. And she said, no, you canceled. I said, no, I did not. I said, there's a lady here. And then I go in and I confront the lady and I say, I'm calling the police. She leaves. Within seconds, Mommy starts bleeding from her eyes, her nose, her mouth, her vagina, everything. I'm having to call 911.
Basically, she was a targeted individual, completely isolated, begging for help, and the police did nothing. Now, I want to emphasize, for years, guys, years, White maintained that she and her mother were being mistreated and targeted by people in their community. Court records and media reports indicate she repeatedly contacted law enforcement regarding concerns involving these neighbors and other individuals. Now, unfortunately, the two attorneys which she targeted, well, They just so happen to be the legal muscle representing the Roseville Police Department in a major body camera lawsuit. Look, I'm not saying that pulling a trigger outside a courthouse is the right way to handle business. But let's be entirely real. Gwendolyn White snapped after years of systemic abuse. All she wanted was fair justice for herself and her mom. Instead, she got a system that drove her into a corner and then acted shocked when she fought her way out. And unfortunately, many targeted individuals around the country have been vocalizing these same cult tactics, and I'm here to be a voice of reason and remind those playing this sick game that they are playing Russian roulette with their lives and others around them. As always, we must separate verified facts from allegations. The verified fact is that 2 attorneys were shot. The verified fact is that White now faces criminal charges. The verified fact is that significant questions remain regarding mental health resources, public trust in institutions, and what happens when people believe their concerns are being ignored. Because here's the question nobody wants to ask. How many times can someone feel unheard before desperation is over? And that is a serious question posed to those in higher levels of investigation. And how many warning signs are missed before tragedy unfolds? Just something to think about, throwing it out there. Hope someone of valor catches it. Meanwhile, let's pivot down to Georgia, where the state is playing its favorite game. Oh, look, we accidentally found a serial killer. Henry County investigators and crime scene experts now believe that Dennis Lane, a 42-year-old currently serving life without parole, might be an active cold case serial killer. Lane took a plea deal back in 2022 for the malice murder, felony murder, concealment, and, brace yourself, necrophilia of 2 young women, Contasia McCoy and Mersha Victor. And where did he hide them? In the woods, behind a busy shopping plaza and grocery store in Stockbridge, right near his own apartment complex. Because nothing says impeccable local police work quite like a guy operating a literal body dump behind the local supermarket without anyone noticing for years. Authorities now believe there may be additional victims. Think about that for a moment. A busy shopping center, people buying groceries, families running errands. Meanwhile, investigators say victims were buried in nearby woods. It's a chilling reminder that evil doesn't always hide in abandoned warehouses during thunderstorms. Right, guys? Sometimes it hides right next to a supermarket. The investigation remains ongoing. We'll keep tracking how many more names get added to this file. You can believe that. And with that said, we're moving into our first commercial break. We'll be right back after these messages. Today's episode is sponsored by Fundraising Cup Travel Company with Juel Travel Agency. Are you tired of hearing the phrase, "We investigated ourselves and found no wrongdoing"? Then congratulations! You may be entitled to absolutely nothing, because that's usually how it works. However, you may be entitled to a vacation, and that's where Juel Travel Agency and Fundraising Cup Travel Company come in. Because while we can't fix inflation, we can't lower your rent, and we definitely can't stop people from arguing on the internet. We can, however, help you escape all of it for a few days. Imagine this. No politics, no drama, no social media comment boards, no group text blowing up your phone, no cousin calling to borrow $20 until Friday. Just sunshine, beautiful scenery, ocean breezes, and somebody bringing you food you didn't have to shop for, season, or cook. Now, that's what we call healing. Whether you're dreaming of a tropical getaway, a family vacation, a cruise, or simply somewhere far away from everybody's opinion, Juel's Travel Agency can help make it happen, because your mental health deserves more than a motivational quote. It deserves a boarding pass. Contact Juel Travel Agency today, because peace of mind should earn frequent flyer miles. Okay, guys, we are breaking away for vacation, and I hope you guys got the disclaimer. Travel packages do not include witness protection, immunity agreements, sealed indictments, or immunity from your family group chat. Now back to the show. We're going to roll right into some domestic horrors and global fraud. The death of Jordan Duncan. Guys, let's turn to New York, right? Where we're watching a case out of Bayport that will turn your stomach. The death of 7-year-old Jordan Duncan. An autopsy just revealed that little poor baby had approximately 90 sharp force injuries and died from a completely untreated infection. The twist? 3 women, her legal custodian, her grandmother, and adult daughter are all facing charges. Prosecutors say the abuse was actively documented on their personal digital devices for 6 months. Because apparently in 2026, people don't just abuse children, they film it for their archives. True generational trauma captured in 4K. 3 women have been charged in connection with the case, and once again we find ourselves asking, how does a child fall through so many cracks? Schools, neighbors, family members, government agencies, community organizations, everybody's supposed to be watching. Yet somehow nobody sees anything until it's too late. Or maybe they do see it and simply look the other way. Something to think about, guys. Ashley and her husband. Speaking of digital footprints, let's look at some footage here that just surfaced in my desk. It came off Facebook and Instagram involving a woman named Ashley and her husband. The video shows her literally being chased around a hotel room in nothing but a towel right before a major tragic incident occurred. The internet is buzzing, and the authorities are looking the other way as usual. But the video doesn't lie. Shaking my head on that one, guys. We see you. And prayers out to the family of Kayla, who was also brutally murdered recently under horrific circumstances. The streets are talking, and the justice system appears to be sleeping. Hello, wake up. But hey, the feds did manage to wake up for some white-collar crime. We're moving into when fraud steals from children. In Minnesota, mastermind behind that massive $250 million pandemic food fraud scheme just got handed a 500-month prison sentence. The judge called it horrific. Stealing food money meant for starving kids to buy Lamborghinis? Investigators allege that hundreds of millions of dollars intended to feed children were instead diverted through fraudulent schemes. Imagine stealing lunch money from children. Just imagine doing it on an industrial scale. That's not just fraud, that's villainy with spreadsheets. White-collar crime rarely produces dramatic television footage. No car chases, no helicopters, no action movie soundtracks. Just paperwork. And somehow paperwork